The bosses in this guide are presented in no order, other than the order I just happened to find them in. Enjoy! Sludgeheart can probably be considered the first boss of Titan Souls, mostly due to the fact that his is the first door that you'll encounter on your journey. Upon entering the room, you don't even need to fire an arrow to start the fight and get killed. You'll notice that Sludgeheart is bouncing up and down. This makes your shots a little bit trickier to hit, as he can be jumping over them. You'll also notice that as he jumps around, he leaves a little green ooze puddle that will slow you down. Every time you hit Sludgeheart, he will split into 2 smaller sludge balls, and every time one of those sludge balls is hit, it will split into 2 more. Try to focus on the main sludge ball, which contains what appears to be a heart. The best strategy is to go to a corner or side where there are fewer sludge balls. If you are lucky, your arrow can hit an enemy upon retrieving it. After you shoot the main ball enough times, the heart will be exposed, and you can finally take him out and achieve your first blood in the Titan Souls world. Brainfreeze, also known as the Brain Eyecube, was one of the demo bosses. After hitting him with your arrow to start the fight, you better be ready to move, as he will come swinging right out of the gate. He will slide immediately to where you are standing and then bounce off the walls for a little bit. The best course of action is to get your arrow after dodging the first slide. The target in this fight is the brain, however, the Eyecube is actually blocking the brain from getting hit. If you notice though, there are some switches on the floor that once the ice block is on top of, a torch will be lit in the middle of the room. So the goal from here is to try to bait Brainfreeze into landing on a switch and immediately running to the other side of the room to shoot your arrow through the fire and melt the ice. You're not home free yet, however, as now you're in phase 2. In this phase, Brainfreeze will be exposed and will bounce around and try to crush you. As he bounces, he'll leave behind some slime puddles that will slow you down. Try your best to take your shot, and this boss will be defeated. When you entered this room, I hope you noticed that there was a grid set up on the floor, and the giant block in the middle of the room is named Eyecube, another one of the demo bosses. Shoot your arrow and immediately prepare to run. The cube will be rolling along the grid and will be constantly tracking you. During its roll phase, you might notice a fixed eye on one of the sides of the cube. This is his weak point. After 4 rolls, it will shoot a laser from its eye. It's safest to try to grab the arrow in the middle or at the end of a roll phase, as long as it is safe. Its eye will always be in a different position depending on how it rolled. The eye is vulnerable during the roll phase, but is very dangerous to try to shoot it due to it constantly tracking you. The safest strategy is to attempt to have the eye land face down on the floor after the roll phase. When the eye lands face down, it will fire and the cube will fly into the air, landing behind where it finished rolling with the eye exposed and facing the southern end of the room. This is your chance. Shoot the eye and claim your prize. The room on the top of the stairs belongs to Gol'iath, another one of the demo bosses. He is a statue against the north wall. Shoot him to begin the fight. After you shoot him, he will begin to roar and summon both of his hands out of the ground, giving you plenty of time to grab your arrow. Gol'iath, in theory, is a fairly simple boss. His main attack is using one of his 2 fists to attack you. He will be trying to slam you into the ground with 1 fist at a time. If you look closely, you will notice the hand that is not chasing you is blocking a hole in the statue's chest. This is his weak point, and that hand is protecting it. Occasionally, Gol'iath will alternate the hand it is using to try to pummel you. During this transition, you'll want to take your shot and try to shoot the opening before the hand returns to block it. Good luck. After entering the snow area, solving and following the torch puzzle, and melting the entrance to a cave, you'll be shocked to find yourself in water. Well, at least that's what happened with me. In this room, Onyxia, the water dragon titan, not the WoW boss, is seen swimming in the water. In the room, you'll also notice that there are multiple platforms for you to stand on. Destroy the gong of the center platform to begin. Onyxia will immediately start to show itself, jumping in and out of the water. It will jump out of the water and attempt to crash into you. If it hits a platform, the platform will be destroyed. After 3 or so dives, it will submerge itself, and the cave will grow dark as it shocks the water. Make sure you're standing on a platform for this phase, as you will die if you're in the water. This will, however, spawn new platforms in case you lost any. Its entire body is extremely tough, so you cannot shoot it the moment you see it. To top it off, you can only shoot while you're standing on a platform. If you notice, Onyxia's tail is slightly different from the rest of its body. This is because the tail is the weak point. Start the dive phase preparing to jump off a platform the moment Onyxia starts to jump. And immediately make it to the next platform so you can take your shot and hit the tail. With good enough timing, you'll be able to finish this tricky water level. Stratus is another wall statue titan. When you shoot Stratus, the fight will begin and you'll have enough time to grab your arrow. You'll notice something burrowing from underground. This is Stratus' main attack. After burrowing towards you for a few seconds, it will pop out of the ground, revealing a strange tower. It's good to note that if you are standing on it as it pops out of the ground, you will get knocked back a little bit, but you'll have enough time to recover for the next part. This tower will begin to shoot a laser in a straight line at your current location. This laser will turn into an ice wall after it finishes firing. If you get hit by the laser or touch the wall, you will die. The goal is to try to bait the laser into hitting what appears to be one of Stratus' teeth, knocking it out and revealing the weak spot. When you do this, you will enter Phase 2, where Stratus is constantly rising and lowering from the ground. When Stratus is above ground, you need to be careful and take your shot at the newly created opening. Be wary because the tower will still be trying to kill you, and the ice walls that the tower creates can block your shots. Alternatively, you can have the laser knock out some additional teeth and make the opening even bigger. Time your shots and tear the wall down. The Yeti is waiting patiently in a small cave. Shoot him and immediately be ready to move as he will not delay. Right away, the Yeti will start throwing snowballs. While these snowballs are not too deadly at first, they can quickly become a big problem. If you get hit by a snowball, you will get knocked back. If you happen to get pinned against the wall and are hit by another snowball, you will die. You can easily avoid all the snowballs just by running. Immediately after the snowball phase, the Yeti will very quickly roll into a ball and come straight for you at an extremely fast speed, so be ready to dodge. The Yeti will hit a wall and icicles will drop from the ceiling immediately upon impact. These icicles will kill you if you are hit by one, and they can also block your arrow shots after they have landed. The Yeti will do this 3 times and immediately start over with the snowball phase. The best chance you have is to catch Yeti during the small window you were given after the Yeti hits a wall during his roll phase, and shoot him in his bright pink butt, aka his weak point. Maybe you'll get lucky and get a good shot in on this big pain in the ass. Rol'Qayin is literally a rock and roll titan. Right when you walk in the room, you will notice the big glowing purple eye. If you guess correct, that's a weak point. Immediately, Rol'Qayin will roll up and speed towards you. Dodge out of the way, and Rol'Qayin will hit a wall and be slowed in its pursuit. Be careful though, because it does leave behind a fire trail that can kill you. After hitting the wall, it will slowly pursue you. Try to kite it around the edges of a room so you don't have too much fire to worry about. After a little bit, Rol'Qayin will speed up and charge again, starting the process all over. You can take a shot at the glowing eye at any point during the fight, but the safest point would be right after it tries to charge up and slams into the wall, since it will be stunned for a moment. Puns aside, this rock will quickly stop rolling as long as you make your shot. Gol'Qayin will immediately start trying to pummel you the moment you shoot, so be ready. It will use one of its mace arms to attack your current location and then drag itself over. If you roll behind its face, you may notice a little open slot on its back. This is the weak point. It will constantly be trying to crush you with a mace arm and then drag itself over, giving you very little time to try to shoot the weak point. If you roll behind it 3 times, Gol'Qayin will start spinning its mace arms and try to get close to you in order to crush you. If you stay at extremely close proximity, the maces will not hit you. When Gol'Qayin finally stops spinning, it will stop for a moment before beginning its first phase all over again. One of the better strategies is to force Gol'Qayin into a spin phase and immediately head for one of the slanted corners. Because of the way the room is set up, you will more than likely not get hit when it gets close to you. After it stops spinning, immediately take your shot at its back. With enough luck, you won't have to worry about this boss anymore. When you walk into Mol'Qayin's cave, you will be faced with a giant lava blob. Look closely and you will see a crystal poking out of the top. The fight revolves around exposing this crystal. Right when you start the fight, Mol'Qayin will bounce away from you and then shoot a barrage of fireballs towards your location. It will bounce back again, suck in the air around it, including the fireballs, and then shoot a bomb out towards your location. If you get hit by the bomb or the fireballs, you will die. The bomb will stay there until it is hit by a fireball or hit by Mol'Qayin. Mol'Qayin will then continue to shoot a barrage of fireballs and then have them return as it jumps around away from you. If you have a bomb blow up, it will do the suck phase again and shoot out another bomb. During the suck phase, you'll want to shoot your arrow towards Mol'Qayin and then have Mol'Qayin suck it up. This will now allow you to pull Mol'Qayin towards you with your arrow recall button. What you want to do now is have Mol'Qayin either touch the bomb or have it close to the bomb when it blows up. Continue to dodge the fireballs and keep pulling Mol'Qayin towards the bomb. When your plan finally succeeds, when you blow up Mol'Qayin, you will have a very short amount of time to reclaim your arrow and shoot the now exposed crystal. If you miss, you will have to do it all over again. Be quick and blow this blob down. Knight Elhanan is the first non-Titan humanoid we've encountered on our journey. Without wondering too much about why this former Titan Slayer is now a foe, let's just focus on killing him. You'll start the fight with a good preview of how to defeat him. Shoot his giant arrow to start the fight, and when you do this, you will become temporarily stunned, but you will see that he is exposed. Before we go more into his strategy, let's talk a little bit about the room and what he is trying to do. There are a bunch of pillars in the room, and Elhanan is constantly shooting you with arrows. He will first use his giant arrow to try to kill you. Be ready to dodge the arrow, or hide behind a pillar for cover. After the giant arrow is shot and misses, it will ricochet around the room. Be ready to dodge it if it comes close. From here, you'll teleport around the room, quickly shooting smaller arrows. You can use the pillars for cover, but they can only be hit once. If you hide behind a cracked pillar, the arrow will go through the pillar, destroying it and killing you. The bouncing giant arrow can also damage and even destroy pillars, so make sure you are extremely mindful of your cover. He will shoot the smaller arrows 3 times, and then go to collect all of his arrows. After he collects the smaller arrows, he will collect the giant arrow, and his attack pattern starts all over again. He cannot be touched because of his armor, but as we saw when we started the fight, he will be exposed if you hit the giant arrow. The safest time to try to shoot the arrow is when he is collecting the 3 smaller arrows. Try to find where the giant arrow is bouncing and take your shot. You'll be momentarily stunned, but Elhanan's armor will be removed, which means you need to quickly recover your arrow and try to land a shot. If you miss, he will use whatever arrows he has already picked up and continue his attack phase. This can be an extremely tricky boss, but with good enough timing, you will be able to finish this troublesome foe. Avarice is a pretty fun and silly boss. If you know anything about these kinds of games, then you quickly recognize Avarice as a mimic, a monster disguised as a treasure chest. Avarice will start the fight by spraying coins into the air to try to crush you, but coins can also block your movement. Avoid the coins and reclaim your arrow. Avarice will then bounce and then disappear. Avarice will reappear behind you and try to do one of a few different attacks. One is where Avarice will try to bite into the ground to kill you. As long as you are running, you should be able to avoid this. Avarice will then bounce towards you, trying to crush you. Occasionally, Avarice will stop and try to shoot more coins into the air, attempting to crush you. Avarice will disappear again after bouncing around a bit. Occasionally, Avarice will even shoot out more coins after reappearing. The final attack Avarice has, which can be done after reappearing or done during the chase phase, is turning on its front and shooting a coin directly at your location. This is the attack you need to look for, as it gives you a straight shot at its tongue, which is the weak point. Be in a good position to avoid the coin that it's shooting, and shoot its tongue, finally claiming your treasure. Gol'Hevel is a giant mass titan and can be a fairly quick boss. After shooting Gol'Hevel, you have enough time to grab your arrow while it gets into position. It will start on the left side of a room and then shoot projectiles at you. It will rotate around the room, shooting a different number of projectiles towards you every time it gets to a new position. The boss will continue to move and shoot non-stop. You may notice that Gol'Hevel has a glowing back, which is his weak point. However, you cannot easily get towards his back. The best method to kill Gol'Hevel is to shoot your arrow to a side of a room early, and when Gol'Hevel gets to that point, reclaim your arrow and finally stab this titan in the back. I mean, I guess it's a boss. It does count as progression towards opening the door. The Elder is just this really strange creature in the world. It sends you some pretty cryptic messages, and I guess since this game doesn't have much lore that I'm really willing to look for, this is the best we're gonna get. Just climb up the thing, read the cryptic messages, and then shoot it in the eye. It's simple. No? Maybe? Yeah, whatever. Vinethesis can probably be recognized as the big plant boss from the game's trailer. To find this boss from the Lost Woods-ish area, head east and head back west, and you'll be in a new area where you can head north. After shooting Vinethesis, you'll have enough time to grab your arrow as it starts to grow out its vines, essentially creating 4 quadrants around the boss. Also notice how one of these quadrants contains what appears to be a mouth. From here, it will start rotating and slamming its vines in the ground to kill you. It will also spit out poison clouds that will chase you. If you stand in a poison cloud long enough, you will die. While the boss is rotating, you will need to move to avoid these vines. Occasionally, Vinethesis will also stop to start sucking in everything around it. The best strategy is to move with Vinethesis as it rotates, and stay in the same quadrant as its mouth. During the suck phase, shoot your arrow into its mouth and immediately try to recall your arrow, lowering a flower petal and revealing the weak spot. This flower petal will not stay down forever and will return back to its original form after a few moments, so you need to act quickly. Also, be careful, as the poison clouds will still be chasing you, and Vinethesis will start to rotate again. Get in a good position to shoot the opening and wither this plant. Obello, the Mushroom Titan, is a pretty interesting boss. To find Obello, head west, then north, and then north again in the Lost Woods-ish area. After shooting Obello, it will begin to jump towards you, attempting to crush you. Every time it lands on the ground, it will shoot out spores in different directions. If you get hit by one of the spores, you will die. You can, however, run through the trail left behind the spores, which results in a very psychedelic experience. If you notice closely, there is a face on Obello. This face will rotate every time it lands on the ground. Time your shot and hit Obello right in the face and return to reality. Gol'Set is a pretty tricky boss which is fairly easy in concept. Gol'Set is also guarding the final boss. When you enter the arena, the fight will immediately start. Gol'Set has two main methods of attack, a laser beam and its fists. Gol'Set will either shoot a laser beam out towards you or in an arc around the two pads in the arena. The fists will lift and track you and attempt to crush you one at a time. They will also alternate. The main objective is to try to have the fist slam into the two pads. This can be tricky, however, as sometimes the fists may not alternate and the fists that just hit a pad will lift back up and chase you. You still need to be dodging the laser beam during all this as well. After both fists are on the pads, you are not done yet. Gol'Set will start to move and the giant chest laser weak spot will start to be exposed. It will both expose itself and charge up for a blast. You will need to hit this during the charge up. The only problem is, the two fists will both try to slam into you, one after the other, immediately after both pads are hit. The best method is to roll back towards the middle, then forward once more to avoid the two fists, and immediately shoot your arrow before you get blasted. If you miss, you'll have to do it all over again or get blasted. The choice is yours. Congrats, endgame. You shot the Titan Soul and are now faced against your doppelganger. Get ready to bang your head against this one for a little while. When you shoot your arrow at your doppelganger to start the fight, you'll get a quick preview of its weakness. But let's get a little bit into the shit and the amount of luck you might need. The Soul will occasionally try to shoot an arrow at you. Try to be a bit further away from it when this happens, as the arrow is extremely fast and can be hard to dodge. You also need to dodge the arrow when it is being recalled. It is good to note that you can deflect the Soul's arrow with your own arrow. After the shot, the Soul also releases 4 discharges from its body, which float towards your location and can kill you. When your arrow is on the ground, the Soul can actually recall your arrow. If the Soul recalls your arrow and fires it, it will bounce around for a bit and won't be able to get reclaimed until it finishes bouncing. You might notice that when you try to shoot the Soul, the normal body separates from the glowing body, and they rejoin shortly after. Also, you may notice that it will occasionally separate and then rejoin itself on its own. You'll need to try to either bait out the separation or wait for it, and then land your shot on the normal body. This sometimes ends up being more luck, but if you feel it out enough, you will be able to successfully hit the Soul. And now you hit the credits. Good job. Normally, if you only killed the bare minimum amount of bosses, then you just beat the game, I guess. But if you've been following along with the guide, you killed all the bosses. And now you've been rewarded with the true last boss. Get ready for the real hell here after the credits. Truth is a 3-phase fight. In Phase 1 you will be presented with a wheel that splits into 2 wheels. Whenever the wheel is spinning, it is considered in the air and cannot be shot. One wheel has an eye and one wheel does not. The wheel with the eye will be moving horizontally, and the wheel without the eye will be moving vertically. They will follow where you are on the plane, drop, and then try to roll across to crush you. The eye wheel will roll first, followed immediately by the vertical wheel. After they both roll, they rejoin and immediately start spinning, which means they cannot be shot, and then the pattern starts again. The best strategy for Phase 1 is to dodge both wheels, and immediately after dodging the vertical wheel, take your shot at the wheel with the eye and be ready for Phase 2. Phase 2 can be pretty messy. Both wheels from Phase 1 become portals, and a series of ghost-like eyes fly between the 2 and 2 lines, with you placed in the center at first. These eyes will not kill you, but can knock you back, and they can also block your shots. Shortly after, another type of ghost will spawn that has teeth. These will pursue you and try to kill you, and they will also continue to spawn over time. You can shoot these to kill them. It is a very good idea to try to stay on top of these, otherwise you will get overwhelmed very quickly. Pay attention to the eyes that are flying by, because a little bit into the phase, there will be one that has a purple eye. This is your target. Hit this and immediately enter Phase 3. In Phase 3, the eye is turned into a spider. It will walk towards you and try to crush you with its legs. Teeth ghosts from Phase 2 are still spawning as well, presenting you with another problem to avoid or deal with. The truth will also try to shoot an eye laser at you occasionally. When it shoots its laser, it needs to lower itself to your level. This is when you will need to attempt to make your shot. The best strategy is to try to distance yourself as much as possible from the truth. You can shoot the teeth ghost if they are becoming an overwhelming problem. You'll need to wait until the truth lowers itself to shoot its laser, and try to angle yourself so the teeth ghosts are not in the way, as they can block your shot. Find the perfect moment and reach out to the truth. Congratulations, you've beaten Titan Souls. Let me know in the comments if this guide helped you out at all. Your feedback would be very welcome. Thanks for watching, and yeah, hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it.